and we had an awesome or really high productivity. Danny was in Oak Brook and had a productivity of about 1,200. Meaning his fast start was probably about 500 or 600. And then he worked on it. And I remember Danny actually calling me, and I having about a 30-minute call, just walking him through training and different things I did. And really what Mike did. And he worked on it. Then he got that PPR in Oak Brook, and then so it's something that can be learned. And then now I'm in Oak Brook, and so it really doesn't matter what the territory is. And in terms of working with fast starters, this is the message I gave. I really feel like there's a few different areas of impact. And if you implement some of the tips I give, I really feel like it can have an impact on your fast start average. But this is something that you want to be good at. And when you think about the fast start average, I think you guys know the stat, whatever they sell their first weekend, multiply it by 2, that's their fast start average. Multiply that by 2, that's their productivity on average. So if you have $1,000 pop, your fast start average will probably be right around 2,000. I mean, your productivity will probably be around 4,000. The other thing is that every time a rep sells $1,000 their first weekend, you make $250, right? If they sell 3,000 their first weekend, you make $650. So if you want a $1,000 paycheck, get 2 reps to $3K their first weekend, and anyways. So that first weekend matters. So I have a few tips that I think in the interview, I'm not going to do too much. It's basically a question. And then a few tips in training and everything like that. So in the interview, it helps having the best recruits. I don't need to talk to you guys really about finding the best recruits. You guys know what those are: campus, PRs, social. And it's like when you have the best people, you could just like mess up everything and they're still going to sell. But in the post, one thing I think can help, I learned this a while ago, is right before I accept them for the position, I'll just ask them, hey, if you're offered a position, training would be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at these times. And for the people we bring on, we do ask that they leave their weekend open to fit in those practice appointments. I'm assuming if you're offered a position, you'd be able to arrange your schedule. But when they have a full weekend, it just makes it a lot easier for them to have those 10 demos scheduled when they leave. Right? So in terms of training, just realize everything starts with your training. It is your training. So study and really try and get better. And this is where it would take another call. But also there's so many videos now and scripts. And so really study. And when you're studying, if you are doing different scripts, what I found was better for me is to actually skim down training and really try and get clear with what was it I was trying to get out of that section.
I just got to say something quick, Darin. I don't want to interrupt. I had a conversation that came out with someone, I can't remember who it was, either in our division or Big Sky, that they really hadn't done that. They hadn't done that. They hadn't spent the time to script and really watch training and really know what they're saying and what the point of the story is and things like that. And I love that you put that in there. It's not just like do this one little thing. It is actually digging in, taking the time and scripting and reviewing your training. and that you know what you're saying in training. So that's a really great point. Thank you.
Yeah. And so the big sections are the welcome talk and names list on day 1, value on day 2, the value, and then the MAC scheduling section. And then on day 3, I always say PRs, but in terms of working with fast starters, it's really your dropping down talk and maybe your office schedule. But the outside of assuming that you are competent and good at the training, the tips I have of working with a fast starter is you want to build the excitement throughout training for the fast start contest. So I never like make them get excited, right? As a branch I was like, nope, I'm not telling you, you guys are gonna have to stand on chairs and like wave your, and I was like, and that's not how you want to do it. I kind of more just tease them with it. It's like, hey, do you think we might have a contest for you when you're brand new? It might motivate you to work harder. You guys want to hear about it? I don't know if you're excited enough. So maybe we'll get to it later. And it's just anytime throughout the day on day 1 and day 2, usually I try and I'll tease them with it a few times throughout each day. But then on the 3rd day, I'll also review the fast start contest right before the PR collection, right? Now, and then that also continues in advanced training. When they get there for advanced training, I'll recognize, hey, so-and-so's won this and this and this so far, and again at the team meeting. So it's build excitement throughout the fast start contest, throughout training, but then also that should continue every time that they're in your office. And then also get them focused on seeing their best 5 or top 10. This is so that MAC scheduling section on day 2 is, in my opinion, when you're working with fast starters, you got to have the end in mind of they got to go out and hit their first promotion their first weekend, right? And when you have the best recruits and they show their best 5, they're going to hit their first promotion, maybe even their second. And even if you don't have the best recruits, they're at least going to make a few sales, right? But then those recommendations, right? So it all comes down to them scheduling their best 5. Now, in training, on that second day of training, let's say someone schedules someone that's not in their best 5. I'm not gonna like
they're not gonna
think. Oops.
I might have done that. I don't know what I did. Are we good now?
I don't know. Can you?
That's strange. Go ahead.
Sorry, I think that was me.
Okay.
Is this better now, guys?
Yeah.
All right. So now I got to get back to, I'll share in a sec, but that second day of when they're phoning and let's say they're not scheduling their top 5 or top 10, to me, scheduling is still about building confidence. So I'm not going to like make them not or like reschedule right on the second day. I'm going to do that on the 3rd day, you know. But what I'm saying, why I'm saying the MAC section is so important is that when you do that section right, they don't want to schedule the other people. Like, they understand that it's like, these are the people I see. And then in that schedule section, like when they do their first appointments, I literally have them write MAC number 1, MAC number 2, MAC parents, MAC number 3 on Saturday morning, you know, and it's like they would be so ridiculously dumb to schedule someone that is just, or at least not call their top 5, right? So they understand when you do that section, they're going to start off by calling their top 10 max. And I tell them in that section, hey, if you only have 5 max, those are your top 5, right? If you have someone that you think that's not a max that you think would be better, you can put a question mark by them, and we'll talk one-on-one on if you can see that person. And by the way, if I tell you to not see that person, you're not going to get mad at me. It's just I don't want you to waste the sale, right? If you showed them after advanced training, after you hit your first couple promotions, yeah, you'd probably sell them a set. If you show them this weekend, though, it'd probably be a no sale. It's just you're not as experienced enough yet, right? So it's the what's in it for them type of conversation. Yeah. So, and then when they're so anyways, it's where I will have them reschedule if they're not top 5 would be on the 3rd day of training. So anyways, getting back to the keynote. Here we go. Now, after that, they'll bring them into their first weekend. So you need to hear from everyone on the 3rd day of training. I always say by 9 p.m. After they leave training, so day 1 of their fast start. I feel this is the case, or this is how I look at it. If I don't hear from them by 9 p.m. on that first day, they've quit. They're done. And I'll tell them, hey, if I don't hear from you, I'm going to have my sales manager call you at 9, and every 5 minutes, you in your house, and they're not going to be happy. And by the way, it's not because they like calling you at 9. It's because they need to get a report done. And by the way, it's not, they don't want it's my boss makes them do a report, right? And I always blame the leader, right? Because they don't know, right? And because then once they get to their first SLDM, they're going to love the division manager anyway. So, and they're not going to remember that. But so we hear from everyone by 9 p.m. And this is a big section. I mentioned this earlier. Page 39 in the manual is the office schedule. To me, at least that's where it is in my manual, I think, yeah. Page 39 on day 3 office schedule, that's a 30-minute talk, all of page 39. And I'm talking about 10 to 15 minutes on PDI, just those top box. If you're looking at that, the next one is like field training. I'll talk maybe 5 minutes on that, and I'll have them write down, go in your first 2 weeks. I don't know, but it's like I'll talk, team meetings are like a 5 to 10 minute talk where I'm essentially going to put the fear of God in them that they have to be at those. And then I'll say, like, so watch Brian Hurlman's day 3 expectations, and that's what I do, right? And when you do that right, they understand, like, hey, it's okay to miss a meeting. I just need to make it up, right? Or just watch it. But I did the PDI talk right if they check in on Sunday in the morning, even though I tell them PDI is only Monday through Friday. So for you, this might be they check in on Saturday morning if they're not at that meeting. If you run Wednesday through Friday, it's the next day, even though I tell them in training, it's not required. Most people do anyways. So just make sure you don't miss their call. And this goes for the whole weekend on their first demos. So when they made a sale, I always say, oh, when's your next one? Can you make 5 calls? Because when a rep makes a sale, that's when they're most likely to listen to you. Now, let's say it's a homemaker. and I teach my AMs to make sure that they do this the right way, I never get excited no matter how big the order is. Let's say Phil called me and he sold $14,000 on an order. I'd be like, solid. When's your next one? Cool. Can you make 5 calls, right? It's like, and now that has never happened, right? But that it has happened to me on $5,000 orders. And then usually after that, I'll ask, can you make 10 calls? Because they're going to do whatever, right? But the bigger the order, the more excited they are. Now, if it's like an incompetent rep and they sell an ice cream scoop, that's the one I actually might get more excited about. So it's different, you know, but we're talking about working with the top people, right? If they had a no sale. Oh, by the way, whenever their next call is, or next demo is, it's always, can you make 5 calls? I don't care if they're 10 minutes late. If it was a no sale, then you want to change their mindset. And you can usually hear this by the way that they call in, right? If it was a no sale, I think you guys have heard this. They'll just say, hey, I just did a demo, right? If they made a sale, they'll usually start off by saying, hey, I just sold this, right? If it's a no sale, I'll be like, hey, I just did a demo. And I'll be like, great, how'd Rex go? And just change their mindset and get them focused forward. But then also, I'll just ask them, hey, how do you feel like that last demo did? What do you feel like you could do better? Okay, great. Let's do that. And then I'll always, if it was a no sale, I'll just kind of remind them, hey, you're going to love what we teach you on Monday at advanced training. You're actually going to hate me, but you're going to love what you learned, because that would have really helped on that last demo. So that's where we teach you the secret weapon. So make sure you're good to go for advanced training on Monday. All right, but when's your next one? Great. So why don't I just talk to you after that one, you know? And the number one outcome from first week in PDI, I believe, is get them to advanced training. Put a little star by that. It's just whatever they sell, the number one outcome is get them all to advanced training. So because advanced training is the thing that I feel affects your Monday to Monday. And by the way, there are so many offices that have a decent pop. I feel a pop is a reflection of how well you understand training. I feel your Monday to Monday is a reflection of how well you understand the Fast Start program.
Wow. Say that again.
I feel like the pop is a good indicator of how well you understand training. I think the Monday to Monday is a good indicator of how well you understand the Fast Start program. And the Monday to Monday, in my opinion, it should be bigger than the pop. And when you look at my numbers, you'll see that's the case. And it's been the case since we were a pilot. I mean, not every year, right? But I remember when I was pilot, Mike had a $1,300 or an $1,100 pop and a $1,300 Monday to Monday. So the Monday to Monday, I feel like the outcome is to get them 2 to 4 orders a rep. And the reason why I feel like advanced training is one of the most important things is it can really help fix a lot of the stuff from their first weekend. Also, to affect the Monday to Monday, I feel like the 3 biggest things that impact it are PDI, PCs, and attendance to events. And that's on the next slide. So with PDI, the rule is every rep every day. Otherwise, they quit. Now, in the fall and the spring around school, I'm still learning how to get better at this. But I do think it's, you know, in the spring, I feel like we were talking to most reps most days. there may have been a day or two where we didn't, but there, and Jesse, I feel like nailed this at SLC when he was talking about it. All right. But the things I get are the reports for the demos that they have set for today, tomorrow, and the next day, and their goals for each of those, the reminding them of the event, and asking them to get on the phone. I would also jot down 3 minutes. Reps don't want to talk to, they don't want to talk to me. So it's like 3 minutes is the max I want to be on the phone, unless they have like 2 questions or something. Otherwise, you should be able to get all this done. Now, let's say you talk to 10 reps that day. I believe you should have 10 demos as a team. I think 1 demo per rep you talk to is a good indicator. If you're, anyways. Now, with PCs, this is one of the biggest things, and why advanced training matters is I'm going to talk again about PDI. I talk about PDI all the time, but at advanced training also, we're going to set up the PCs for everyone that launched. So if they launch on a Saturday, I feel like they got to be PC'd by a Monday or Tuesday. Otherwise, they've quit. And that 30 to 45 minute meeting is just so important for your reps too. I mean, if you don't PC them, you might as well wave goodbye. And anyways, but the PC and the Fast Start PC, it's I connect with them, so maybe 5 minutes there. I don't do a demo check. The demo check is essentially they do a demo for me. They have their blue book out, their manual. I tell them do a demo for me, and they essentially read, and it's about 30 seconds each page, 1 through 8, and I'm just really looking for, are they reading? And I'll just tell them to skip after 30 seconds. I'll be like, okay, yep, next page. And I'm just listening. What I'm listening for is, are they reading the manual or are they adding? And then when they get to page like 8 or page 9, where they ask for the person to buy a homemaker, that one I'm going to do the whole page. And I'm going to see, are they writing down prices? And how do they go from the homemaker to the galley? Right? Because I'm going to ask them, hey, can I just buy pieces? I want to see how they answer that. Because most reps sit there and be like, yep. So, and then I'll just show them, right? So that has a huge impact on the Monday to Monday, that they start doing the demo right and writing down prices. And then I'm going through the schedule for them and putting in the events and helping them come up with who their next top 25 are. To keep it simple, I have a Mission 100. We can talk about that later. But in the PC, why Monday or Tuesday, I'm trying to get them focused on the top 25, the next top 25. That's who they're calling Wednesday night at the team meeting. So they should be able to set up 5 or 6 right there at the team meeting from those. Anyways, now the things I'm putting in their schedule are the advanced training series. So in the summer, we're pretty good about running the 3 of them. So we have 3. We teach the secret weapon for the first one. We teach how to call Rex on the second one. And we teach how to sell the Ulti and Siggy on the third one. Makeups are important. So like if they can't make something, it's like how you respond is almost even more important than anyways. You just got to be able to respond the right way. So makeups, it's like, hey, no worries. The makeup for that is Thursday at 7 a.m. or 7 p.m. Which one works better for you? You know, so the team meetings, with the events, I would just jot down, a rep is always one event away from quitting. So if you don't get them there, they're done. So SLDM, Phone Jams, Champions Club. Now, the last 4 days PC, this is where some of the last things is for it to really, this is how you get a bunch of 10K fast starters. I've had reps sell over $5,000 on the last day to hit 10K. And by the way, I've trained about 50 people to sell 10,000 in their fast start or more. And crazy stuff happens in the last 4 days with the right people that you are really working with. It's like, I asked the MITs, like, how many people have done more than 7 demos in a day? And they all raised their hands. But if they do 7 demos those last 4 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, that's 28 demos. I mean, they could sell 10,000 those 4 days. So you want to help them max out their schedule. Now, to the last 4 days PC, it's the PC on how to set up the last 4 days. So it's got to happen actually on day 5 or day 6, right? So to me, this happens on that Thursday morning. That way they have some time to work on some assignments and come back for that Thursday night phone jam to set up a big weekend. But you just, and then you just help them go over the like list, how to close big, dropping down. It's like, who is that number one person that they should call? Casey O'Loughlin, he was a guy that shipped 21,000 in 4 days over a January program a couple of years ago. And I was like, who's the richest person you know? Like, who's the wealthiest? He's like, this person. I'm like, all right, let's call him. He's like, but they're not a Mac. I'm like, oh, well, tell me about him. He's like, well, they live in an apartment, but they own a mountain. I'm like, how do they own a mountain? And he's like, well, they have a house at the top and they built a fence at the bottom. And I was like, yeah, you call that person, right? And you just help them figure out who would you want to show, right? And then I ended it with, your job, Mike said this, is don't be the limit on your people. Your job is just to help them and get out of the way. And don't be surprised when just big things happen. So, those are, I feel like, the things of what to do with fast starters. So
that was tremendous. I got some really good nuggets there, or whatever I got to say. What's let's start with any questions that people have for Darin. I know we're right about the 30-minute mark, but if you're good, Darin.
Yeah, no, I am good. I'm just planning the rest of the day.
Cool.
I have a question.
Go for it,
Hi, Darin.
Hi.
I wanted to ask you were saying your day 3 dropping down discussion. And I know there's like a discussion, there's, one in Drew's manual and stuff like that. To be honest, I don't feel like I have that nailed. I don't really understand like fully the purpose that, like, I know understand the purpose, but I don't understand, like, I don't have a belief that affects things. And I know it does, but I don't do it. So my question is, on the day 3 dropping down review, one way to do it is literally just review the dropping down. But I'm assuming that there's more to it. And what's your purpose of your dropping down review on day 3? Like, how do you build their belief? What do you do to make that affect their first weekend and all that?
Yeah. So it's a really good question. And I use a combination of Drew and Muriel. So this comes back to how well or how deep are you going into when you study training? And when I was studying training, I got all the scripts. I reached out to Hurlman. I reached out to Danny Feldman. I had Mike's and then Drew's. And what I found is that they were all saying basically the same things, just at different points throughout the training seminar. And one person's, it may have been said on a certain day at this time, you know, and so my dropping down is closer to, I would say, the stair steps. If I write the homemaker and then the stairs down to the galley, stairs starters, and then 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And so when I'm doing that, it's I'm just telling stories of why they should read the manual, because a customer said this and then they got it, right? So I'll tell a story of like, I just read the manual, asked them to buy a homemaker, they say yes, and I was like, really? Like, and I'll tell them the story of like every starter set. Now where I'll kind of, so that's the dropping down I like, but there are parts where I'll still like weave the keys to selling sets throughout that. Right. And I believe that's the section that you're talking about of Drew's like dropping down sets review. Emily, is that what you're
Sorry,
talking
taking
about?
notes. Sorry about that. Yeah, that section. Yeah. And I think,
if you, I wish I could like have a training script to look at and I could tell you how I do it.
Mm-hmm.
But the keys to selling sets is usually I'll do that right before that dropping down. And then when I'm reviewing the sets, it's kind of more of like, I guess, the dropping down like Muriel. It's just not in Drew's scripted out. But Drew will kind of do it. You know, it's just interesting.
So do you feel like the most important like things that, I mean, it sounds like the magic behind that section, because I can run it, but
mm-hmm.
I don't know if I have the magic behind it, you know, like, and I've run it before and that's why I'm not really convicted on it. Like, it's just like, whatever, like I miss it. And I'm like, oh,
yeah.
well, you know, but I think
a great person, if you want to see my dropping down,
mm-hmm.
I would text Sebastian. He has it recorded. And you could see the section I do.
Awesome.
It won't have all of the sets review or like the keys to selling sets probably that we were just talking about.
Is that your day 2 dropping down or your day 3 review that he has?
I do it on day 3. There are some people that have started doing that talk on day 2.
Mm-hmm.
I like Fran. I know is doing that. Alex kind of does it.
Mm-hmm. So you just do normal dropping down day 2, role play the manual, and that's really it, just teaching the manual of it. And then day 3 is more so like you're instilling the belief, you're like sharing the stories, you're reviewing the dropping down in a way that makes maybe more sense, seeing it as a visual staircase. You're doing the all that stuff.
They have to understand why they drop down and how it's just better for a customer. Even though a customer is going to ask them, hey, can I buy just pieces? No matter what, and I'll say, hey, when a customer asks you that, I'll be like, what do you think a new rep in other offices do? They'll be like, yeah, what piece?
Mm-hmm.
You know, when that happens, right, you have to respond, of course you can, however, the sets are discounted, they're safer, and you get free stuff. I want to show you that. And I'll just walk them through the blue book. and then give them examples. And I'll say, and then I'll tell them a story of someone that said no to a homemaker, asked for pieces, and bought a galley. And then I'll say, let's say that they didn't want it. They said no to a homemaker and a galley. Do you think that they might get a galley if you just offer different free stuff? Yeah, that was Bob and Kathy Ryan. They said no, but I knew Bob liked to hunt. So I just said, hey, Bob, if those free items don't excite you, we're going to switch out for a free hunting knife. How does that sound? And he just looks at Kathy and says, Kathy, that's the set we're getting. Right? And then she goes, well, only if I get my garden tools, right? And then I'll be like, do you see how like couples talk like that? Yeah. So don't worry. If they don't want to get that, just try offering different free stuff. And if that, is it that big of a deal? They say no. Yeah, you just show them the starter sets, and you show them. I'll just tell them a story about how someone said that they didn't cook. They wanted to buy just a paring knife, and then they ended up getting a studio set. And I'm just telling them stories of like, no matter what they say, you follow this thing. And by the way, if you ever have something where you don't know what to do, what do? Solve. Right. And so it's about a 45-minute video. So I feel bad that I'm giving you commercials of how to, and I feel like they might be coming at you out of order.
No, those stories teach. Names, drop, even if they don't know the person or the, Kathy, whatever the name is. It makes it so personal when you can tell that personal story. It's also why MITs and why everyone should sell a lot before they open an office, because then they have those stories, and they can use other people's stories too if they want on specific bets. I love this. That's so paramount. Nice job, Darin. So there's.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great answer. And well, I already texted Seabass. You can text him too. And I don't know if it's a link or if it's a heart. We got to get on a flash drive or something. But that sounds really cool for that dropping down review. And it is Mike. It's the old manual coupled in with way Drew does that. But what I love about Darin in this case is that he's like, listen, I studied other people and then I made it my own. He's probably more on Drew's program except for like that section, because that's pretty much what I do when I run training, because Darin and I were both raised watching Muriel videos, and then Drew's videos came out on Vector Live and all that good stuff, right? I wouldn't say raised. I was raised quite a ways before Darin was raised from a from a pup. But anyway, there was a lot of great nuggets there. Any last questions? It's 5 minutes till we're close to finish, and we've already overstayed our welcome in the hotel room in Boise, Idaho. But anybody else?
Hey, Darin, do you have that scripted out, that section of the training scripted out that maybe you could email out to us so we could kind of see the different trainings you implement into it?
I do. Yeah, I can email it to Phil, and yeah.
Sure. Awesome.
And then, because I think he'll have all your guys' emails.
Hey, that'd be great. Send it over. That'd be super, Darin. Guys, I love what he said. He's like, the end in mind, keeping the end in mind. Specifically, he was talking about the first weekend pop, keeping the end in mind. So the reason why you're telling them top 5 people only, we say HM3s, by the way, most of us, just so you know, HM3 are max. Some of us might not know a MAC is the same as an HM3, but keeping the end in mind, that's the motivation that he has in telling them why. And again, they'd be silly to see anyone besides their top 5, and that's because of the way you presented it to them. It's not just they'd be stupid to see anyone else. They don't know if they're stupid or not until you tell them why see your top 5 people only. What are the leads going to be like? What are the sales going to be like? What's your confidence going to be like? What's your income going to be like? What are the prizes going to be like when you get those sales? And then they're so motivated to get the results, so they only call their top 5 or only call their top 10 or 15 customers and get them set up right away. And I loved how you can tell Darin's very intentional about how he learned his training seminar. And he's also very intentional in the way that he runs his Fast Start program all the way through the entire Fast Start. And the idea of the last 4 days being really because of the last 5 day PC. He has a PC with them before their last 4 days starts. There's just intentionality in how he does it. That there's some makeup advanced training, that there's for sure everyone's got to come to advanced training 1, 2, and 3. Remember how this summer he did a call with us and he showed us his web PDI and he had the attendance markers I mean, you can tell Darin lives what he preaches, and he's got purpose behind what he's doing. So that was tremendous, Darin. Thank you so much for sharing with us. And yeah, you're awesome. And looking forward to seeing you in 2 weeks. Big day coming up for you.
Yeah.
November 9th.
Yeah,
So,
thanks.
sweet. All right. Well, thanks a lot. Say hi to Alex again, and say hi to Michael and Casey and everybody else.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. Okay. Yeah. All right. Bye.
Bye.
All right. Well, just to wrap up, guys, I'm going to tell you there's a few more things we're going to be reviewing on the next two, the Tuesday call, the Thursday call next week regarding January program. I'm really excited about, us increasing